Happy Monday. Welcome to the Pitch Strike Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats. I'm here with Rob, Donald, and joining us today, our very, very good friend, Scott. You all know on Twitter from Before the Pitch. And Scott, you have been a friend of our show since day one. And things have been going really well. We wanted to bring you back into the fold and take advantage of your day off. So we appreciate you giving us some of your free time. How's everything been going for you?
Everything is great, and I appreciate having you guys. I appreciate you guys having me back on because I appreciate every moment I get to spend with you guys and talking Yankees. One of my favorite groups to talk about the Yankees with in the world. So I'm more than happy to be back. Please, anytime. And I don't have many days off these days to do it. Everything's going well on my half. Doing life, doing the do, being successful in many different ways. I hope you guys are all doing the same. You guys got a cool new intro, which is great.
Thank you. We'll thank Rob for that one. He put it all together. But let's get down to the nitty gritty, right? And when it comes to the Yankees offseason this year, how do you compare this year to the previous few as far as activity and managing expectations for the fans?
We start with me? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So it seems like every year is this weird pattern of they give you something that tells you something else is going to happen, but like there's never a follow through. Like we always go like 3/4 of the way. It always seems like. And for this year, that 3/4 of the way is Juan Soto, because Juan Soto is fantastic. This is great. But here's that 1/4 we're missing. He might only be here for 1 year, and we didn't do much with our starting pitching. So it's like we're 3/4 of the way into making a big change, but you never fully complete that change. And a little bit of that is kind of aggravating. I'm not sure. Are we going to extend Soto or no? I feel like he's going to have to go into free agency, but then you're torn in multiple ways because on one way, it's like, okay, do we not do Yamamoto, even though we did give him a really good offer? Do we not do Yamamoto so that we can make sure we sign this guy? Because the Yankees are in a position where you have to sign this guy because if not, you're wasting the primes of Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge if you don't sign this guy. So you kind of have to. But like I said, it's like, we didn't do much to our starting pitching. Stroman's cool. He's fine. But is Stroman going to be like what Michael Kay says, move the needle? I don't know. I hope so. I like the guy. I think he's a good pitcher. He's a consistent pitcher. Is he what we need? I don't know. I'd feel much better about this if there was still that little bit left that we didn't do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think when it comes to, I think Soto is the cherry on the top that we got in the beginning of the season, the whole season rather, where everything now has to come, to fill it up. And the moves that they've made have been not so much blockbuster, but still significant to the growth of this team. And it's going to lead to the success because one thing that the three of us in the community have been talking about, that Cashman and Hal have been very calculated with their moves. They're not just making those panic moves, we missed out on this guy, so we have to make a splash because we're the Yankees. They've been very cautious of the type of player they're bringing in that fits a specific need. Do you see that as well?
In the best way, yes. But here's my thing, and I am not convinced that the way to win the World Series is to spend a bunch of money everywhere on everything all at once. And if you're Brian Cashman, for years the criticism is, he's not spending enough money. Here's the thing, though, and I shouldn't have to rehash this. Look at the Mets last year. Look at the Padres. The top 3 payrolls in baseball last year did not make the playoffs at all. So you look at what the Dodgers are doing now, and you're saying, how are we guaranteed that's going to wind up paying out in the end? In a way, it seems like Brian Cashman kind of sort of figured that out a little bit in hindsight, because he realizes, hey, we're not guaranteed to win anything by overspending anymore. But he doesn't entirely know how to win with the low payroll. So we're stuck in this awkward middle. And I think that's the best way to describe the Yankees right now is we're in an awkward middle where we know we have the discipline enough to not be really stupid with the spending, which is good. But we don't have the sharpness enough, I guess, to find where those who those overperforming players will be that you can get for pennies on a dime. And it seems like we do a pretty good job with relief pitchers, though. Whenever we get a relief pitcher that we haven't heard of, they wind up being pretty okay, which is good. I just wish we could do that for some other position players. Like, are we really going to put Aaron Judge in center field? The dude just destroyed his toe. Are we really going to do this? You know what I mean? It's like there's got to be someone you can get on the cheap just to who's going to overperform. And why can teams like Tampa Bay predict who those overperforming people are going to be, but nobody else can? But then you take the Tampa Bay guy, you put him in Boston, and he still can't do it. So it's just, I don't know what the secret sauce is, but we're just stuck in that awkward middle with everything.
I have one name for you, Mike Fishman.
Yeah, but Fishman's a pain in the ass. He's got to go. I think him and the medical staff just went out there.
Well, I think genuinely that's why we don't find that hidden gem, the overperformer, as Scotty's bringing up. It's because we don't have the right guy to interpret the analytics. I think that's what it is. You know, if Cashman had an excellent analytics executive who could find these players, I think we'd be a better team. I think Mike Fishman is a lot of the reason why we've underperformed for this amount of time.
And it makes you wonder. It's like, what numbers did the Astros and Rays have that we don't? I'm not a sciencey person. I'm not a mathy person. But it's like numbers are numbers. And at the end of the day, when you play numbers in sports, you're playing probability. So it's like, why do our numbers work in the regular season, which they do for the most part, except for last year? We do fine in the regular season. And then the numbers just stop working in the playoffs. Like, I don't get it. And I don't have the answer for it. If I had the answer for it, I'd be working for the Yankees in the Bronx right now, probably. I am great at identifying a problem and not supplying a solution. So I'll admit that immediately. It's just, again, it's just awkward middle with stuff. We're not completely gone. We're not completely out of it. We're just not fully in it. And I don't know how to be. And even Steve Cohen, I'm going to bring up the Mets because now the Mets are doing next things at this point. But even Steve Cohen, it's like, did he just learn the lesson that the answer was not to drop a crap ton of money?
Yep.
And I had predicted when he first bought the Mets, I'm like, okay, I don't think he's going to spend as stupidly as everybody thinks because the guy is like a multi-billionaire. You don't make that money by spending stupidly. But then you got the Dodgers who were always doing what the Dodgers are doing, and they're spending a buttload of money. But then again, they only have one World Series to account for it. So it's like, who is doing what wrong? And I don't know the answer because all of our successful teams, like the last 10 years, it's the San Francisco Giants, who are consistently like the punching bag, like on sports radio and stuff like that. I've been very in tune with a lot of Bay Area sports recently because I'm very intrigued in the whole Oakland A's situation. It just always seems like the Giants are just a punching bag. I guess it does. Like, they're winning more than you guys. And they don't spend that much. They're begging to spend a lot of money, and they got fleeced a couple of years. And then they go and win 8 games out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's the playoff structure too is just a joke, you know. But you know, they wouldn't have made those changes if it wasn't for the Dodgers having to play a wild card.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's when they started making some of the change. You know, they started adding. They got rid of the 1-game playoff because of the Dodgers.
Yeah,
if that's my opinion on it. But I want to give a quick shout out to the chat. You guys, we are paying attention. We see you in there. Jones, Sean, William Reed, what's going on? NFV, Mr. Barrows, LA Yankee King, Chris Northrop, Dev Finch. You got Anthony Garcia in there. Jonathan, as always. Joan Seco. And I'm looking at this comment right here from a new voice to the chat. James Beal, what is going on? Appreciate you joining us. Hope you're enjoying the channel and the show. But before I can get to Rob, if you are watching, if you're on the chat for the first time, what we started doing, throw a number 1 in there. Let us know it's your first time with us so we can welcome you properly. And as always, hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out, and let's keep the community growing. So, Rob, let's throw it to you.
About what?
Anything we're talking about.
I mean, I guess the title of the video is "Are the Yankees Done?" I don't think so, because they're talking to Hector Neris. They're the favorites, or one of the favorites for him. Martino has linked us with a reunion with Wandy Peralta potentially, and we still got to clear 2 40-man roster spots. And if they add some relief pitching, they got to clear even more roster spots. So there's still work to be done. They were going to spend $30 million on Snell, and they only spent 18.5 on Stroman. So they got a little bit of money to play with. Do you use that on 2 relief pitchers? Is there a trade in the works? I still think a trade is coming. I don't know if it's going to be a big or a small trade, but something has to be coming to clear these roster spots, because they haven't even officially announced Luke Weaver yet, I don't think. So, and he's got to make the team. We know Stroman's got to make the team. So they got to clear those spots, and they still got to get a couple of arms in that bullpen if they're not going to go get another starter, which they could still do. They can still maybe make a move with Seattle or Miami for one of those young starting pitchers. So there's still work that can be done. They still got a good month before pitchers and catchers. I don't think they're done, and nor should they be. They showed the willingness to spend the money this year. They don't have to go overboard to bring in an unnecessary contract for a closer, and maybe they can add to the bullpen with guys like Neris and Wandy, and they already got a good bullpen as it is. You can go closer by committee, or Shella possibly could come back, as Chris just brings up in the chat. So there's some names that could potentially be brought in that wouldn't cost you too much, and you can make this team even better. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm just hoping they do it soon so we can have something to actually talk about. And we can get ready for spring training and be excited for the season.
Yeah, William Neris, 171 ERA for the Astros last year. I think he would be fantastic. Nice fastball splitter combo. I think he'd be an absolute monster. I think he also has experience closing. I would have him as our closer.
Yep.
I'll pass it to the panel. Scotty, what do you think about the possibility of adding William Neris?
Here's my thing. If I want to add a pitcher, if it's not Blake Snell, I want to add Josh Hader.
Okay.
Does anyone here trust?
You just made a friend with LA Yankee King. I'll tell you that.
Wait, what?
You just made a friend with LA Yankee King. In our chat here, he has been wanting haters since last year.
Yeah. Does anyone here trust? What's his name? I almost said Pete Holmes. It's Clay Holmes. Does anyone trust that guy to close a game anymore?
Yes, no.
It's scary, right? Like, why is it our closers scare us? They shouldn't scare us. You know what I mean? And then that's why I am no longer. I do not particularly trust the opinions of the Yankee system as far as their own homegrown guys too much anymore, because the other one who really worked out was Aaron Judge, and Gleyber Torres is in a weird awkward middle. I would trade him, but that's a different conversation. It's like, at this point, give me a pitcher who already knows what the hell they're doing, and then just tell him, we're not going to coach you. Just do the thing you always want to do. And do you guys pay attention to foul territory? I think that's what it's called.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think Eric Kratz was on it, and he was talking about Sonny Gray when Sonny Gray was on the Yankees. And I guess he made good friends with Sonny Gray, and they had a lot of heart-to-hearts in a bunch of sketchy situations. And then one time during the playoffs, Sonny Gray was telling Eric Kratz, he's like, they make me throw things that I'm openly telling them I don't like throwing. I do not feel good throwing. And when I was the most successful is when I was not throwing these. And he's like, it's almost like they had a plan. They didn't care what made him successful. It's like, but there's a chart that says this is the plan that should work. So
talking about Mike Fishman.
That's why I want to get other people to come in, and it's like give me Josh Hader, and I feel like I don't know Josh Hader. I feel like the dude's got a set of cojones where he's going to tell them, no, you're not going to tell me what to do. I know what makes me successful, and that's the thing I want to do, and that's the thing I'm going to do. And that's what I want out of a guy. I'm not really, particularly for myself, interested in creating a closer. I want the guy who's already doing it. You know what I mean?
No, I can't argue with any of that. I mean, we can go through part and parcel of a whole list of arms where this has been an issue. This has been a whole issue for a while now.
Yeah.
Rob, jump in, man. Well, let's think of some of these arms where it's affected people in the past. What about the Big Maple?
Yep.
James Paxton?
Yep.
That's another good example.
That dude threw like 2 phenomenal games for us in big clutch spots, and then he was like mediocre at best for the rest of it. Remember he threw that game against the Dodgers when we were going to play LA that year. That was the year we had the Players Weekend jerseys, the gray. We had the all black ones. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about the All-Star jerseys in LA. Remember we got the black on black?
Yeah, those were nice. I like those.
That's cool. But James Paxton threw that game, and he shut down the Dodgers, and it was like a whole big thing. I remember did he have a really big start in the playoffs that year as well, I think?
Yeah.
But it's like you got those 2, and then nothing else.
And he was very outspoken with the way that he was asked to pitch. He was not comfortable with the way the Yankees were asking him to pitch because they were asking him to throw pitches that weren't his best.
And nobody is. Like, no one comes here and says, oh, yeah, I totally like the way they're pitching, except for Garrett Cole, which, again, you kind of get the feeling in mind that Garrett Cole ain't taking instruction from nobody.
Exactly. That's why he
he's
extends the organization. And that also can extend to Aaron Judge. He ascends the organization because he wasn't listening to the batting coaches that the Yankees were hiring. He had his own batting coach, and he ended up hitting 62 home runs. These are guys that have to rise above the organization's teachings because the organization's teachings is flawed. Yeah. I'm hoping that they've learned their lesson this offseason. We'll have to wait and see. But with these organizational discussions, those have to be the discussions because Garrett Cole had to go and do his own thing because they were asking him to emphasize his secondary pitches, and he just went back to just throwing what's made him successful in his career, working off his fastball and being the dominant ace that he is. And then he went on and just absolutely had a Ron Guidry year last year. Aaron Judge, same thing. Don't listen to this ridiculous organization or philosophy of just hitting it for the moon. Aaron Judge went to his batting coach. His batting coach had the right philosophy, and he went and crushed it. So I'm not going to just go and hate on the Yankees. They're not always doing something dumb. But in this instance, there's a flaw with their teachings, and it takes our 2 stars to rise above it, in my opinion.
And here's the thing. Can we talk about that batting coach for like a second? Have you guys seen his videos? Of like him,
Aaron
Judge's coach. Yeah.
I don't know how any of what he says makes sense. Here's the really interesting thing is, if you look at the thread for any of this guy's videos, and it's full of like baseball people saying, this is wrong, this is not how you teach hitting, but like it totally works on Aaron Judge. Baseball's weird things work for weird people. And like Gary Sheffield, no one would teach this, but Gary Sheffield. And then Aaron Judge's thing is like, I would never coach that. I even tried doing it in a batting cage. I couldn't make sense out of it. And me and my friends, we really sat in a cage just on a free afternoon to see like, does this actually work? We couldn't make sense of how any of this works. And that's why Aaron Judge is way better than all of us. Better than me and my friends sitting in a cage doing it. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I can't argue it. It clearly works.
Well, what about Jeter's stance? That's hardly textbook either, but it absolutely was incredible.
It has like the main principles of hitting in it, like staying through the zone as long as possible. Like this little. That's how the Ninja Turtles fight with a katana. That's not how you.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to bring up a player, but before when it comes to the batting stances, that drove me crazy. But shout out to KYH. Welcome to the chat. He announced himself as a Red Sox fan, and it's fitting that we get into this discussion because one of the most aggravating and frustrating batting stances was Kevin Youkilis. And Kay, I want to know what you think. What as a Red Sox fan, what you thought about it? It drove me absolutely crazy.
But it worked.
You know, it's like how do you prepare this? You know, and it's not like he had bad numbers, but it was that was the most unique, awkward stance I've ever seen.
You remember Tony Batista?
Yeah,
He had another wild one.
he had a weird one. Julio Franco had that crazy stance. Craig Counsell, like all these guys that had these weird stances, but it worked. You know, so
They sure had like a swinging bunt stance. That was kind of what he had, and it worked phenomenally.
So yeah, everyone has these different stances, and it seems to work. Like I always thought even Teixeira had that for 1 year. He had like the really wide stance where he with the wiggle of his bat was like wider than usual, but it would work. Like, you know, everyone would change their stance up at different times. It seemed Stanton's got a different stance like every week, it seems, when he's trying to get things going out. So, you know, sometimes players just do stuff. Like Judge has changed his stance several times now since coming to the league. 2016, he was standing straight up, and then he had more of a bent stance. In 2017, he took off. So maybe that coach works for him, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for Cabrera or Torres or anybody else on the team. So
Chuck Knobloch is a great example, guys. In the chat. That was
it was all over the place.
FJ brings
like this, am I right? Yeah. Oh my god.
The chat's throwing some good names out there. Henry Aaron, Grady Sizemore, Coco Crisp, which I thought was one of the best athletic names ever.
Tried to he used to put his chin over like this and make like a kissy face, like.
But it's you're talking about you're in favor of Hader, all right? I want to bring it back to that because we've been very hesitant to get on board with having Hader.
Okay.
Because of, and I already know he's going to go crazy in the chat, but Li, just bear with us for a second, all right? It's the not being comfortable taking the ball in the 8th inning for an extended save.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
We'll repeat it one more time. The sound cut out for like half a second.
Being hesitant to go for the extended save if he has to take the ball in the 8th for a 4-out save.
Okay.
You know, his hesitation to do that. But I believe it was Hector on the Morning Brew Sports pointed out he has only pitched and he's only taken the ball for an extended save 5 times in his whole career. He does not like pitching outside of the 9th inning. Whether he was asked to do it or it's just circumstance. But that's still a fact when you're looking for a big contract to ask to somebody that there's a chance that they're going to do something they're not comfortable with. You know, so with that, with that information, do you still?
I'm not paying.
How do you feel about it?
Paying a closer for the 9th inning. That's my thing. I'm paying for the 9th inning. I'm not paying for the 8th. If he doesn't like do the extended, cool. I don't care. Just make sure you're locking down that 9th inning every single freaking time, and that no one's going to complain. At least I don't think. At least I wouldn't, because like whenever I'm looking for a closer, I just want at the 9th inning and get me the heck out of there.
That's a good point.
I also want starting pitchers to go longer, but I'm probably not going to get my wish.
Yeah, well, that's our old school mentality.
But yeah, it's like he doesn't want.
My stance on that though is actually quite similar to Scott. I have no issue with Hader. If we signed him, I'd be happy. The thing is, I can't comment on what happened in other organizations. I wasn't there in the locker room. We don't know what the situation is. We don't know why Hader chose to do that. Maybe it was a business decision. Maybe he was like, I don't want to blow my arm out for free agency. I don't really know what it is. Maybe it was just the fact that, hey, this organization's a mess. I'm not going to blow my arm out for an organization that's a mess. We don't know. None of us can comment on it. That's why I don't see the point in going into that situation. Kind of similar to why I had no issue with the way that Verdugo left Boston last year. Yeah, it doesn't look that great, but at the end of the day, maybe it was a business decision. Hey, this organization's a mess. I'm wanting out.
We all hate the Red Sox too. I can't judge him.
Yeah, I don't care, and I really have. I don't care about the Padres. Sorry. So if he didn't want to pitch in the 8th inning, I really don't care. So at the end of the day, we can only comment about things that have something to do with the Yankees, in my opinion, or things that are very pertinent in baseball. I highly doubt that making a business decision or whatever decision it was in the 8th inning, maybe an issue with the manager. We don't know. Whatever it was, I don't care. Yeah. So if he went to the Yankees, I really don't care about what happened in the 8th inning. So that's just my opinion. If the Yankees signed him, fine. The only thing I would say is Joba Chamberlain, when I interviewed him with the guys, NFE and everyone on 4Train, Mazza on 4Train, he said that he thinks that New York would eat him up. So so that's something that also we have to bear in mind. So yeah, maybe people that are not on board with that have a point with that. That's the only thing, because he might not have the personality for New York. Maybe the way the New York is might be something for him. But other than that, I don't really care what happened to the Padres. And I like him. Well, he's an awesome closer.
So something interesting that you said is the idea of like New York would like eat him up and stuff like that. Yeah. Here's the thing. That's a people problem. And here's where I'm going with this is it is a slight sidetrack, but I want to take that somewhere. One of the pieces that I want to write recently for Slam Station, which is where I am writing these days, which I am enjoying very, very much. One of the pieces I've been wanting to write before the season comes up is this is a big moment for Yankee fandom right now. And the reason why is because how many people have we chased out of town? Because of some weird self-entitlement of you have to try out for me. Which I never agreed with. That's why I do not boo the Yankees, ever. I do not understand the idea of that. I want my players to be successful. So if people who I like Stanton, who has struggled, especially all last year, I still love Stanton. I'm not going to boo Stanton. I want him to know I'm still on his side. Now, how do I communicate that to him? I don't know. But I can tell you how I don't communicate that to him is that you boo the living crap out of him. And I still... There's the whole thing with that. But we have 1 year to convince Juan Soto, the greatest hitter of all time up until the age of 24. We have 1 year. Trying to find that camera. We have 1 year. It's this guy. That this is a good place to be. You want to know how we can easily convince him to go to the freaking other side of New York? We boo the shit out of it because honestly, the Mets are not going to boo the guy. On his worst day, the Mets are not going to boo Juan Soto. This is a big moment for Yankee fandom to grow up a little bit and not boo the living crap out of Juan Soto when he goes on a slump. Because we can easily run that dude out of town and convince him that he should never stay here. We got to convince him, here's why you should stay.
Yeah, the Mets players, gave the finger to the fans, and they're like, "Oh my God, the ball's on this guy! Oh, we want him." It's like, meanwhile we just boo him right out of town.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Because think about it, how offended did a lot of people get when Rodon blew a kiss to the crowd? They're like, "Oh, that's not the Yankee way," and look at how they're treating him. So, got a point there. If Soto goes, because remember, Giancarlo Stanton got booed his first home game. He struck out 4 times after he
hitting 3 home runs in the first 2 games.
Yeah, I remember that. I was at the second game of the season that year, and my dad, he can attest to this. He hit a home run the very next day, and nobody was booing all of a sudden. I was literally yelling at the fans, saying, "Oh, you're not booing him now, are you?" So that's what they do. this is what a lot, not everyone, but this is what Yankee fans do, and it can really affect a player. Now, do I think Soto's going to get that treatment? No, I think Yankee fans have completely bought it, knowing it's 1 year. I think they know that's going to be the case, but you got a point though. I never understood the whole let's boo a player thing to try to get him to hit better, because sometimes players just, they don't want to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
And now, again, you're a professional athlete. Sometimes you just got to you got to be able to tune it out. But
yep.
I never liked it. Like I did not like Josh Donaldson one bit. I did not like that trade at all. But I wanted the guy to succeed. I wanted Aaron Hicks to succeed. I didn't want to boo Aaron Hicks. I didn't want to say get this guy off my team every 2 seconds, every time he would dribble to the freaking shortstop for an out. I didn't want that. I wanted the guy to be good. Yeah. But it wasn't. Sometimes you just gotta like hold back the crap, because remember what they did to IKF after the playoffs? They were like going after him. He was trying to drive out of the stadium, and they're going after it's a couple of fans. It wasn't everybody, but it's a bad look, and that's why you get people talking about Yankee fans. It's like, oh, they're malicious, they're this, they're that, they're that. I mean, I'm not saying everyone needs to be coddled, and like if it's okay if you go 0 for your last 20, don't worry about it. We love you, but I don't know. I hated the whole let's boo the crap out of the guy. Like they did the same thing to A-Rod. They booed Judge not too long ago, like in the playoffs. So like
they booed him in the playoffs after 62 home runs, so that is a freaking fact.
They did. So this is
they booed Derek Jeter when he was in the slump, when he was in that record slump.
Yeah,
and he's probably in the Mount Rushmore of Yankees all time. So ridiculous.
Yeah, and you got a guy like Stanton that catches all the shit, and still is the first one to stand in front of his locker and admit, goes, yeah, I deserve to be booed, but we still hate him. Because what do we want? We want results. Like I'm not going to boo somebody as they're walking up to the plate, but if it's in the 9th inning and the bases are loaded and you get into a double play, you strike out to kill a rally. Yeah, I'm booing you when you walk back to the dugout. That's just for me. That's just being a sports fan. If you get the big hit, like when Donaldson got the walk off to get to win against Boston at the beginning of the season, we were cheering him. When he had the grand slam to give the Yankees a win when Aaron Judge had a great day. Was that Stanton that got the big hit? Either one of them. It was we were ecstatic about it. Like, good, you got us to win. That's what we want. You actually contributed to it. If you're not contributing, we're not going to be as high on you.
Mm-hmm.
I've never understood the hatred towards Stanton.
It makes no sense.
I know that he didn't have a good year last year. I know he's injured a lot, but I mean, to be honest, none of that actually is relevant, considering we booed him basically his second at bat. He hit the home run his first at bat, and he got booed for the next one. So like, that's why it doesn't. So we can't even. I don't want to hear fans saying, "Oh, it's because he's injured all the time," and all that. You guys were booing him his second game. Every single freaking at bat, you were booing him. I don't know why. What? Because he's not homegrown? What was it? What's the excuse? He didn't bat 1,000? Give me a freaking break.
Here's my kind of conspiracy theory with Yankee fandom with John Carlos Stanton. There needs to be we need to have a whole fandom-wide psych evaluation with this, because if I was if I'm I don't know, some famous psychologist, here's my theory about that. Ready? The departure of Alex Rodriguez created the desire for a hometown villain. The Yankees always have a villain who's one of us. It was A-Rod. Reggie Jackson was a bit of a villain for a while because they were booing the shit out of him his first couple of years. Roger Maris, because a lot of people were very angry. There's always a villain for some reason, and we need that because we're a bunch of teenage girls who need drama. And John Carlos Stanton on paper is the perfect description of a villain. He's not our homegrown player. He strikes out a ton. He's from another organization. And here's the thing. The problem with it is he's the nicest guy ever.
I know.
He's the nicest guy ever. So it's not like, hey, and I still love Alex Rodriguez. It's like some people say he's kind of a jerk. Yeah, I kind of get that. Reggie Jackson, kind of a jerk. Yeah, I get that. John Carlson, nicest dude in the world. We just assumed this role on this guy because we're desperate for someone to hate on our own team for some fucking reason. And it's like, but that's not the guy. That's not the one guy.
Exactly. Now, I openly hated Josh Donaldson. I openly hated Aaron Hicks. But that's because those two were complete, nozzles.
Yeah.
Stan is a stand-up dude and also awesome player.
He hits the ball at speeds and distances that we didn't even know were possible. And we're booing this dude? I'm sorry. I watched the freaking man hit a ball on TV, obviously. I saw the man hit a ball in freaking Petco Park to the moon. Mm-hmm. And it landed in a spot in the ballpark that I've never in my life seen anyone hit, and we got the balls to boo this dude.
I know.
I've been saying this for a while. Is he's a walking 30 home run season, even on a bad year. Last year he was dealing with multiple, but look at the year before. What was it, 2022? He was an all-star first half of the season, and even when he got hurt, well, you say that, but you constantly complain every 2 seconds about Giancarlo Stanton, how much he gets paid. So I'm just saying, I can pull up every single text of how much he complains about Giancarlo Stanton. I got the receipts for you. Don't worry. But I'm just saying the way they boo Giancarlo Stanton is ridiculous. He's not making $30 million from us. The Marlins are paying a little bit of his salary. And when he's good, there are few that are in the sport that are better than him when he's on. Now, the only thing with Stanton is you've got to find a way to keep this guy on the field. So a lot of people like that moron Papelbon are talking about how the loss of weight's going to affect him or whatever. If that's what keeps him healthy throughout the season, and if he's able to give you from the next 4 years, if he's giving you lower averages, but the power's still there and he's staying on the field, we've seen what he can do in October. The Yankees need him. Anyone saying the Yankees should cut him now and start who in his place? Who's going to start in his place? Don't you dare tell me Spencer Jones is going to start in his place because he's not ready yet. So Dominguez is not healthy yet. If he was there, I can understand that, but you're not going to give up on the guy now. Who's to say that he can't play another 2021 kind of season where he plays 130 games, hits you nearly 40 dingers, drives in 100. If you're taking that every single day from Stanton, even if he's given you a Rizzo-like season from 2 years ago where he only had 75, 80 ribbies, but a 30 homer season, you're going to take that from Stanton at this point, because if he's healthy from April to October, which is highly unlikely, but even if he has a small stint on the IL, like one of those phantom stints, if he's healthy in October, you're guaranteed this guy's going to hit one to freaking Queens with the way he's playing. That's the way he swings the bat. So the Yankees need him, especially this year. If you got a healthy lineup with him, Soto and Judge and Rizzo all hitting one after the other, that's insanely scary. So, and just his health, it's always about health with this team.
And I think Soto's going to make Giancarlo Stanton better. Want to know why? Because it's easy to strike out Giancarlo Stanton when you don't have to pitch the guy. Now you got to pitch the dude. Wow. Because who are you going to throw around?
That was partly his issue last year. It's
if you have in order, ready? You got Judge, Stanton, Soto in some kind of order. You look at that whole thing and you're saying, I got to throw one of these guys a strike. And at the end of the day, Stanton's probably the one you're going to want to throw the strike to, comparative to the other two. I'm hoping that's going to make him a better hitter, because now pitchers are in a position where you have to choose someone to freaking throw at. If not, maybe the guy walks a bajillion times. Fine, it's a base runner. Moneyball, people. Does he get on base?
Well, I mean, the thing is, these other organizations are paid to scout us too, right? Yeah. And a lot of scouts were saying that the Yankees were incredibly easy to pitch to last year because of the way the lineup is constituted. Overly right-handed. And they all had obviously a lot of them were following the same philosophy of trying to swing through their boots and so they were saying that you know what? Throw them high inside and then an off speed outside, low and away, and they'll probably be swinging at it.
Yeah.
And they were extremely easy to pitch to. I read a bunch of scouts were all saying the Yankees were incredibly easy to pitch to, especially with Aaron Judge out, because after Aaron Judge, there wasn't that many quality hitters. And there'll be a lot of people that'll maybe say that's not true, but it's true, right? And Stanton, it does have a hole in his swing. As much as I love Big G, he has a massive hole in his swing.
Low and away.
He's very susceptible to low and away.
Yeah.
Because and that's why he keeps changing his batting stance, because I think that his open stance makes it difficult for him to reach these pitches low and away. And all they were doing was pitching that to him because they didn't need to throw him a strike because everyone around him sucked. It was basically like Gleyber Torres, and that's about it. So, like, who else are you going to pitch?
Aaron Judge missing a toe and a concussed Anthony
and
Rizzo.
Was concussed. So after that, there was no one to pitch to in the lineup. So why would you be an idiot and throw the fastballs to Stanton? You'd have to be an idiot to do that.
Yeah.
And I want to get into this too because I want to get your opinion on Gleyber. But RDG, welcome to the Pitchlight Chronicles. Welcome to the chat. Great to have you joining us. Hope you're enjoying the discussion. What is your take, Scott, on Torres?
On Torres?
Is he getting traded? Would you trade him? When would you do it? For who? Or you just want to keep him?
Here's what I would do. I would ask Brian Cashman, give me a yes or no answer. Are you signing the guy once he's a free agent? If the answer is no, trade him right now, because or else what are you going to get from him? That's my thing. And I wanted to trade him a while ago. I'm not saying I'm a Gleyber hater, but here's what I'm saying. I think the single biggest miscalculation of the last 10 years is Gleyber Torres' ability to play shortstop. Now, I know we're very far past that. But
yeah,
almost all of our problems spiraled out of, oh no, he's not that good at shortstop. Everything was dependent on that because for years it's like, why aren't we getting one of the big shortstops? We got like the biggest shortstop free agent class ever. Why aren't we getting? Oh, because we got Gleyber. Wow, did that throw a wrench into everything? Because he wasn't that good at shortstop. Because I think he has a problem transferring the ball because he tends to rush things, but that can go on to on and on about that. But I remember saying, like, even when he was doing good at second base, and a lot of people are like, oh, we got to move at shortstop. I'm like, do you really want to? Because remember, Didi was free. Remember Didi's last year? Everybody liked Didi. Everybody was cool with him. And, like, obviously, are there better options than Didi? Yeah, but, like, Didi gave you nothing to complain about. Didi Gregorius at shortstop and Gleyber Torres at second base. If you guys remember his last year there, that they had the single most amount of double plays in all of baseball as those two. And we had a pitching staff that year that had, was one of the league leaders in, like, ground balls and stuff like that. So what we have is a real setup for success. You have a pitching staff who has become dependent on the double play and is successful with the double play. And we got the best double play turning duo in baseball at the time. And the idea was you put Torres at shortstop. Why? Oh, because he did it in the minors? Jorge Posada played second base in the minors. Aren't you glad we didn't do that? Mariano Rivera wanted to play center field. Aren't you glad we didn't do that? I don't care what he did in the minors. Look at what he's doing now. And I think that was the single biggest miscalculation because every problem came after that. And now, is that Gleyber's fault? Not as much as it's the fault of the people who are sitting there looking at charts and numbers. It says, but the chart says he should be playing on that. It's more of their fault than anything. But I'm in a position of, is Gleyber going to make you better? He'll keep you exactly. Is he going to make us better? Are we going to sign him? If the answer is no to both of those, I would like to trade him.
I still think you should probably look into trading him. Partly the reason for that is because of what you were mentioning there about the way he has an issue sometimes transferring the ball. Mm-hmm. He gets a little bit lazy, and he showed that a lot last year, where he gets a little lazy. And also, if this rotation, as constituted, is a rotation that we roll out, it's going to be a ground ball dominated rotation. There's going to be a lot of ground balls. And I want someone who I can trust at second that's going to make every play. Gleyber showed last year that as good as he was offensively, his defense took a massive, massive dip last year. And I would make Peraza our second baseman next year. Trade Gleyber, add another rotation piece, save some money, and put Peraza at second base, and I think that would improve us defensively. Yeah, we'll take a little hit offensively, but we've got Soto and Judge, and they're going to more than make up for any offense we miss out on at second base with Gleyber gone. I agree with you. If you're not going to extend him, there's no point keeping him. That's kind of where I'm at too. And the thing is, it's not that I hate Gleyber Torres, because I think had we not moved him to shortstop, he'd probably be a superstar right now. Had we not done that, because we lost a year of his development, we lost a year of his confidence, and Gleyber's been very open to the fact that the Yankees completely screwed his confidence after moving him to shortstop.
Yeah, I remember he had a problem a couple of years ago. Oh, no, it was just last year where he was rumored at the trade deadline. He was fantastic going into the trade deadline, and he even admitted, he goes, he was really upset by the rumors that he'd be traded. I get the fact the guy likes it here. And he's a likable guy. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm not even saying he's the worst second baseman in the world. No, he's fine. My question is this the guy who's going to bring you a World Series championship? I think no. And here's another thing. Why do we keep trying to make shortstops out of people who don't play shortstop? Did you realize that?
That's a great point. It's a great point. They've done it several times. They did it with Torres. They did it with IKF. My thing with Gleyber at this point, though, is I feel like the time to trade him passed. Last year at the deadline would have been the time to trade him, where a team would get him for a year and a half. Now, I don't know if you can afford to lose his offense, because to me, while I would love to see Peraza start, they have not trusted him yet. So for me to be like the Yankees are all of a sudden going to trade the guy who was their best hitter last year, I know we got Soto and we got a healthier roster, but Torres has been your most consistent player the last 2 seasons. So to trade him now and put a kid in his place that you have yet to trust, I don't see the Yankees doing that. Would I be okay with that? Okay. I mean, I would be fine with that. I would rather Peraza start at third and DJ's on the bench. That's my preference. But at this point, I feel like trading Torres now, there's only maybe one team that would take him, and that's Seattle, because the Marlins are not paying for him. If they don't want to pay Arias, they're not going to pay Gleyber 14. So the only team that might take him is Seattle. And if you can get a Bryce Miller for him or a Brian Wu, or maybe, but if they're talking about one of their minor league arms, I'm not trading Gleyber Torres for minor league depth at this point. I'm trading him for a guy that can help you in the rotation right now. I don't know if that trade's available for Seattle, if they want to give up one of those guys for 1 year of Gleyber. So I think the Yankees they're just willing to have him play this year, and they'll take the draft pick compensation. And if he's good enough, maybe you end up paying him. I know they're going to try to pay Soto first, but maybe he's not going to be asking for as much. Maybe he does want to stay here. It's possible, but I think that's the route they're going to take, because they kind of can't afford to lose his offense. They don't really have the guy, in my opinion, to replace him right now, and that's because they don't trust Peraza when they should trust Peraza. So if they had shown that trust in him last year in Peraza, I'd be like, all for it. But I think the time to trade Torres has passed at this point, unless a team is willing to be like, all right, unless Seattle says, okay, we'll give you Miller, or we'll give you Brian Wu, who's like 23 with plenty of control, then I think you entertain that, and then, okay, let's ride with Peraza. But I feel like that's not going to really, at this point, that's not happening, because it would have happened by now. Yeah. I feel like if they were going to trade Torres, they would have done it, and it should have happened last season at the deadline. I think that was the perfect time to do it. It's January 15th now. There's been really no rumblings of it happening. I don't really see it happen. Now, anything could happen between now and the start of the season, but for right now, I don't see it happen.
Especially for the people that we need. I think you're right. It's like, who do you replace them with? You are right with that, though. It's like you can't send them to. I've just people's like, send them to Milwaukee because we've got Corbin Burns. Like, do you think the Brewers want? Do you think that's the return the Milwaukee Brewers want? Here's the thing. Gleyber's fine. I'm not saying he's bad. He's fine. It's just the problem is, it's like is this a guy who's going to win a World Series? I don't think so. But if you think Milwaukee is going to take like 1 year of this dude to get rid of Corbin Burns, are you kidding me? That's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, look, with Torres, we've talked about it, extensively. The time to trade him was last year. But in the second half, he was our offense. We don't get as far as we do without his offensive contribution, but he does have issues with base running. That's a fact. I think that if they never moved him to shortstop to begin with, I don't think his defense is as off as it is. I think that really screwed him up. I think Yankees broke him. Scott, Donald came up with this term, Yankified. And that's exactly what they did with Torres. They Yankified him. They screwed with him so much that he lost his ability to be himself. And he's constantly trying to play catch up to his development. But the Chas bringing up,
Gleyber's one of the best second basemen in the league. Well, not defensively.
I don't know about that.
He had 15 errors last year and had a -4 defensive run save.
Yeah.
So
he took a hit defensively because he was
categorically not a good second baseman anymore. Offensively, he's one of the best second basemen in the league. Yes, offensively he is. Defensively, well.
No, and I feel what we're saying is it's not like with Torres we can get somebody like Burns. He's not that. It's just it's not that was actually rumored out.
But I have seen that.
That was like a sarcastic.
No, but people have been saying that because Scotty's right. I've been seeing that on Twitter. They're like, if for Burns, I'd give them Torres, this and that. They're trying to trade Willie Adames.
They won't even pick up the phone.
Exactly. They're trying to trade Adames, who's making similar money. And I see the legendary Caputo in the chat. You're talking about Stroman being injury prone, yet you brought up Glasnow. So I mean, your entire argument was just killed. Right, you killed your own argument by bringing up Glasnow, who they just paid $30 million to, and the guy has barely been able to stay on the field. So what are you talking about? What are you talking about with the injury? I'm not doing it. Because they're both in the chat, and I'm going to drive myself crazy.
What I do want and look, and we appreciate everybody in the chat. Just remember to just stay respectful to each other. Debate to your life's content, to your heart's content, but just respect everybody's opinion. When it comes to a guy like Stroman, we were talking about the villain on the Yankees, and how we enjoy the villain. But how did you did you want Stroman? What else needs to be done from this point?
No, I'm cool with Stroman. It's just my thing is Stroman's not your number 2 starter.
No.
It's like if you got Blake Snell, then Stroman, everybody would be like, oh, cool, Stroman. That's fine. That kind of makes sense. If you got Yamamoto, which, by the way, I'm glad we're not paying that money. By the way, I'm totally cool with missing out on that guy. For a guy who's never thrown a pitch in Major League Baseball before, I'll live without spending that money. If we got him instead and then Stroman, everybody would be like, oh, that's cool. I think people's frustrations, if I were to take my guess, people's frustrations at Stroman is not the frustration with Stroman, it's the frustration of to the front office of, don't try to convince us this is the guy. We know it's not. We know this is not the one you wanted. Which, again, I'm fine with for another pitcher. I think he's fine. Listen, everyone complains about his social media stuff. Do you really think they didn't talk about that when they sat down? Be like, listen, if you're going to be with us, you're going to shut your damn mouth. Do you really think
you're on your best behavior? Yeah.
They're asking to be a Yankee. Come on. Do you really think that they didn't sit down and be like, okay, listen, let's be adults about this now? You have to follow the Aaron Judge model, which is the Derek Jeter model of don't say much, which I'm totally fine with. It's like, you really think they didn't sit down and talk about that? I do not believe. I could be entirely wrong. I don't have a crystal ball.
I don't think you are wrong because Bob Clappish has an article this morning on NJ.com where the Yankees did some background checks on him, and the first thing that they did was spoke to his dad, and his dad said that Stroman's dream was always to pitch for the Yankees. Always. Yeah. He always wanted to be a Yankee. Yeah. And apparently the Yankees have done a lot of work over the last few weeks to be sure that he's matured. Now, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know whether he has or not, right? But the Yankees have been doing those checks, Scott, to your point. They have been doing those checks. They feel pretty confident that he has matured and that that he kind of settle it down because he's always wanted to be a Yankee. And also apparently he turned down a lot of money from the Giants, for instance. The Giants offered him a pretty significant contract. I don't know what figures, but they offered him a pretty big contract. Turned it down. He took less to become a Yankee. So listen, I still think he's a complementary piece to the rotation. He shouldn't be the only piece that we add in the rotation. It's starting to look like he will be, but Still, I don't hate it at all. I think you'll be fine. I think it's fine. Third starter, fourth starter.
Here's something that makes me kind of smile like a little bit. Is for years we've been kind of like just fandom in general. We kind of criticize players who like only follow the money, which I don't like. I get it. Here's the thing: if I'm playing Major League Baseball and I'm still me, and then my offer is between like Diamondbacks or the Brewers, obviously I take them all with more money. I have no emotional attachment. But here's the thing: Yamamoto. I'm gonna put Yamamoto in what's his name, Stroman in the same sentence to compare each other really quick. Yamamoto went to the Dodgers despite the fact that the Mets matched his money and the Yankees offered him more annual value. And if Stroman turns down more money to play for the Yankees, it's kind of nice that people just think, I want to go somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, there's something kind of nice about that. Something kind of that I like about Stroman saying, like, you know what, though? I just want to play for the Yankees. And, like, that's why I never really got mad at Yamamoto. He's like, listen, I just want to play for the Dodgers. Like, that's cool. I get it. And, like, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like I kind of like it. And you hope that one day, someone's going to from, like, a small town be like, yeah, the Dodgers give me a lot of money. But you know what, though? I grew up in Wisconsin. I just want to play for the Brewers. But, like, there's something endearing about that. Like, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. And I feel like we had, like, a seismic shift after Freddie Freeman makes his remember that whole thing where he went back to Atlanta and he found out that possibly that they didn't tell him about the money that the Braves were offering him that he fired his age. Remember that whole thing?
Yes.
It kind of seems like ever since then, players just like, you know what, I just want to play here. And, like, I genuinely feel like Aaron Judge is like, I just want to play for the Yankees. And, like, but, like, I like that.
Well,
it's rare in this
without getting into specific comments, right? Because it's comical. Respect your takes, but it's just comical. Now, when it comes to let's close it with this. What else do the Yankees need to do? Do you see them as a World Series team, a playoff team, or do you see them missing the playoffs completely with the way this roster is constructed as of now?
Oh, they're for sure.
The ALDS and then winning 2 games of the championship series and losing. Which is, I think, good, but it's like, can we finally get over that hump? But, like, it's not bad. A lot of teams in baseball would kill to do that, which is cool. But it's like, come on, guys, we've been stuck in limbo for a while.
I think this is a good enough team to make to definitely win the division. The AL East has not really improved much outside of us.
Yeah.
And I know some people say that the Yankees are punting the season. I don't know how the hell they've punted a season that hasn't started yet, Caputo. But you added Juan Soto, who's one of the best hitters in the sport, if not the best hitter in the sport. Stroman is a fine addition to a rotation that desperately needed help. And now you've got a starting 5. Is it the greatest looking starting 5? There's a lot that has to go right. But let's not forget that Carlos Rodon was signed here to be the 1B to Garrett Cole. He needs to have a good season. And a lot of this rides on Carlos Rodon. If Rodon is Rodon from 2 years ago, we don't have to worry about what Stroman does as a number 3. And I trust Nestor and I trust Clark Schmidt to be better this year. So I think this team has a really good shot to win the division. I think they can make a lot of noise in the playoffs, but everything has to go right. So for now, I'm going to say division, and hopefully, I'm hoping for a World Series. I think anything can happen in October, but good. Thank you. Whoever, I think I might have been Tats or Donald. I don't know who did it.
It was me.
Good job, Donald. But yeah, no, I think that they have the potential to be a really, really good team, but a couple of things need to go right. A lot needs to go right, and they can still add to this bullpen, I think. Get me Neris. I'd be fine with that. If you can reunite with Wandy, that'd be great. And you're ready to roll. I mean, they've attacked every need, and that's what I like to see. They have attacked every single need.
Yeah, it's like, I think the Yankees are a lot closer. Well, as long as they make the playoffs, they're already improving from last year. But what gives me the confidence going into the 2024 season is the change of the bravado with the front office. After they missed out on, they finally pulled the trigger on some prospects to get us a necessary bat. And we needed lefty bats. We got an outfielder, so we don't have to rely on infield, utility guys playing center field and left field. No disrespect to IKF, he played his ass off for us, but he wasn't the piece. You strengthened your rotation from last year. I don't see a big. I see a better lane to win with this rotation than last year. We didn't know what Sevy was going to. Sevy was hurt constantly. Rodon was hurt constantly. Herman was dealing with his issues. We were trying to figure out. Cortez was having health issues, so we were having. You had 3 or 4 guys in your rotation that you couldn't rely on. Now you actually have reliable arms in your rotation. But it still all circles back to the health of Rodon. But I feel a lot better with Stroman as our 3 or 4 as opposed to Herman. Schmidt has got a lot better. Has got some positive innings under his belt to end the season, so he's going to be coming in with that much more confidence that he can succeed. And so I think they made a lot of good improvements. What's going on, Kyle? So I think the rotation is set. The lineup is balanced and deep. I think that's a big plus. And not having your infielders playing the outfield, because we have Soto now. We have Verdugo, who we didn't get into. Grisham, who we didn't really get into. Like, their depth is insane this year. It's a lot healthier than last year, I'll tell you that.
Their outfield depth has made it possible that if we were to explore another trade, that we have a surplus of outfielders that we can use in a package. I think that I'm very happy with the offseason so far. Now, there are things that they need to do. They need a closer. So I would love if we did acquire Neres. We haven't gone into the fact that Hicks is actually gone to the Giants to be a starter, which is kind of interesting. But I was listening to a podcast that Joel Sherman was on, and Sherman's kind of going with the mindset that, hey, this actually be a smart play for the Giants. He'll try him out in the rotation, and if it doesn't work, then they've got an elite setup man that they can put back into the bullpen. Like, it's kind of a no lose. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of a different tack that they took because they missed out on a bunch of the best arms. So they went with Hicks. It's disappointing the Yankees missed out on him, but now you can understand because he wanted to be a starter. But anyway, if the Yankees brought in Neres, I think that would be fine. I would give him the closer role. I think he would step up and do a good job there. We kind of have the back end of the bullpen pretty much fixed. It's in good shape. We've got a swing man now with Weaver. And I think we should re-sign Wandy Peralta. I think that would make all the sense in the world. You bring those arms in, I think we'd be fine. And we also have a bunch of guys that could easily convert into being a bullpen arm, like a Luis Heel, for instance. So we got Ian Hamill. We create bullpen arms. That's the one thing that we do. We excel in. So I like that. Rotation, I think there needs to be a trade right now. It looks like Dylan Cease is out of the equation. I can't see them lowering their ask. They're looking for Spencer Jones. I don't see that as a possibility. That wouldn't make any sense to me. But the Marlins make a ton of sense. So, and also we need to free up room on the 40 man. So I really do think that another trade needs to be in the offing where we can get rid of some guys from the 40 man in order for us to free up room there. So it kind of makes sense. I also, as I mentioned in the previous podcast, I don't think Nestor Cortez is a fit in this rotation now that Stroman's part of it. It's a lot of it's a very ground ball oriented rotation. I think we we should trade Nestor Cortez, free up room in the rotation, and bring in a better starter that with more swing and miss stuff. I'm not sure how Nestor Cortez is going to play with the pitch clock. Rob pointed that out in the previous podcast. I agree with. I'm not sure with the pitch clock. I don't think he has time now to do his herky-jerky motions and his arm movements and things like that. That was so effective the last time. I'm not sure if that's something that would make sense. So I think that the bullpen's going to be fine. We just need two arms. Re-sign Wandy Peralta. I think we should make a trade for another starter. It looks like Blake Snell's out of the question. It's a shame for me, but I still think that a trade makes more sense because we need to free up room in the 40-man. But the lineup's fine. I'm absolutely fine with the lineup. I think it's great. And even if we keep Gleyber Torres, which I have no issue with, I don't hate Gleyber Torres. Excellent offensive second base. If we do keep him, fine. But I really do think that we're only a few moves away, and I think we're right there. I think we're in good shape. It's a better offseason. And I'm semi-distracted because I'm seeing all these head movements from Rob and stuff. I can only guess that Michael Caputo's back. Everybody off. Is that
can he make his way back? I thought he was. I don't know. Yeah, he showed up again. I don't know. Look, I'm just gonna answer. My dad keeps bringing up Bauer. No, enough with the Bauer stuff because people are complaining about Marcus Stroman, and now you want to add Bauer to the mix. You think that no, he hasn't been acquitted of anything yet. There's still 2 cases that are open with him. I'm telling you, it's a headache. It's gonna be a headache. Maybe Bauer is a changed man, right? Maybe he'll be on his best behavior. But I said this several times now. What happens in the middle of the season if the guy has to leave for a couple of weeks because he's got a court case to deal with, or what happens there? What do you want Fox News and CNN coming to your freaking practices every spring training to try to get an anonymous quote from a player that no one's going to know about? Like it's going to cause problems. And the Yankees are not the only team that's not touching him. Yep. Nobody else has signed the guy for a reason. I'm just because nobody wants to deal with that headache yet. Until everything is in the clear, then you'll see him sign. But until that happens, there's a reason he's not been signed yet. There's nothing to do with the fact that he can't pitch because he was really good last year. But look at what you'd have to deal with if you bring him in right now with 2 cases, maybe even 3 still open. It's a no-go for Trevor Bauer.
And we kind of already BS with the Aroldis Chapman a few years ago. It's like, do we really want to do it again?
Exactly.
Between Chapman and Herman, we've already went through all this. There's a reason why Herman wasn't even entertained to come back, and he's another free agent. I don't even think anybody knows his name. We talk about how Snell's not being talked about, how Bellinger's not being talked about. Herman's just forgotten. I don't know what's going on with him.
Right. But look what he's got to deal with too. There's alcohol stuff and what he did not too long ago. Like there's reasons that teams are not touching certain players, and Trevor Bauer's at the top of that list because again, whether you believe he's innocent or guilty, that doesn't matter here. What matters is there are 2 more open cases that he's got to deal with. No one's going to sign the guy yet. So I just take the Bauer conversation out, please. I'm begging you. Enough definitely. With Trevor Bauer.
In that case, Scotty, give me 1 guy that you would love to acquire outside of Hader. Is there a name which you think would make all the sense for the Yankees?
Blake Snell.
You want Blake Snell? Yeah.
Do the innings does the innings pitch bother you? Because when you think about how the Yankees bullpen gets a lot of pressure put on them, and what I have said, and Rob and Don agree with, this lineup is going to take a lot of pressure off of the pitching because they have some significant increase of chances of actually pitching with a lead, which the Yankees did not have previous years.
I want Snell back.
And I think I want Snell. I really do.
Yeah.
But do you think that the offense is going to have, is going to balance out the strong, the pressure on the pitching?
You would hope that it does, but here's my thing: we look at all the options that are available. Is there any real option who's a better option than Blake Snell right now? And we put ourselves in we have to actually win this year's situation because of Juan Soto. You know what I mean? It's like Garrett Cole just won the Cy Young. It could very well be his only Cy Young of his career. Who knows? Aaron Judge is at his peak. Garrett Cole is at his peak. And now you have Juan Soto for only one guaranteed year. You can't not go balls to the walls right now. I'm sorry, you can't.
I agree. And I'm hoping that this is just going to be similar to the Mark Teixeira negotiations, because we weren't in on Teixeira at the start of the offseason in 09. It was, and I can remember because it was my birthday. They signed him on my birthday, and that came out of nowhere. I couldn't believe it when I read the Yankees signed Teixeira. I fell off my seat. I was like, oh my God, because we didn't know that we were in on him. I'm hoping that it'll be similar to that maybe as over the next few weeks that the price drops on him and Cashman jumps on that. How do you feel about the fact that he apparently turned down our offer of $30 million per year over 5 years? This is a pretty significant contract. I'm hearing that Boris wants like 8-9 years, which is insane. Like, that's completely ludicrous.
I think it's weird. No one's taking a stab at the guy. So eventually he's going to miss because they're my only option.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope. Fingers crossed.
I hope so too, because I'd be really pissed if he does sign a pretty cheap contract and Cashman just sat out. Kind of similar to the way Correa's market played out, and we actually could have gotten him on a 1-year deal with options, but we turned it down because we screwed up the offseason and got Josh Donaldson and IKF.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and I Diver. So I know we haven't really given a lot of consistent time with the chat. So, but we did bring up Dylan Cease earlier. Now, where's the logic? Snell's coming off of Cy Young. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
You have a Cy Young out there, and you can have Cole and Snell back to back. You know, you have your 1-2 punch with Cy Young years, and then you have to worry about, you know, then you also have to battle Rodon. Then you'll have Stroman, and then your fifth starter would be either Cortez or Schmidt. You know, that is a very healthy lineup, a very healthy rotation to try to get through. And I can see a lot of win streaks with that.
And here's where I'll leave the Blake Snell thing. Ready? Say you get Blake Snell, and say we still don't win the World Series. You can't say we didn't try.
Yeah,
you can't say at that point.
That's literally all in. That's because they're going to get taxed for every dollar they spend from now on. So if you get Snell for 30, it's going to cost you 60 technically. So you cannot say they don't care.
Snell, that if you get Blake Snell and you still don't win, that's when you're going to start seeing people get fired like crazy. Because at that point, it's like, okay, there's literally nothing left.
Well, that's when we're going to start feeling like the Dodger fans
in this office for years. So if you want to change, you want Blake Snell, because either it's going to work and we win the World Series, or it doesn't work and we get rid of all the clowns who've been putting up the best personally.
So
Scott, is one of the minors that you like that you think is going to have a big year this year?
No.
Is there someone in the minors that you like? That
in the minors. I'll be honest, I don't pay that much attention to the minor leagues.
Okay.
I pay attention to the Hartford Yard Goats because it's close by me. That's about it. and they play for the Rockies, and you never hear of anybody there because it's just the Rockies. But
I'm going with Luis Gil. I think Luis Gil is going to have a big year.
Because everybody else is.
I'm going to make a prediction that Luis Gil is going to have a comeback year.
Sure.
I think he could have an impact on the bullpen.
See, that's why I don't mind having a guy like Neris on the team. If you're able to get him with like one on a 2-year deal, it gives. I want to see Luis Gil have a year under his belt, and kind of groomed into the closer role. I think if we get Hader, not that it's a bad move. I'm not anti-Hader. I just have concerns about him. But like any other player, once they're with us, that's my boy. That's just I don't think anybody's disputing that. I want to see Heel just get a little more fine tuned.
Yeah.
And then get trained almost like what we wanted for Loizaga. But let's hopefully be successful at it this time, and just prepare Heel to be our closer every day. So Nielsen hiding. His poor Cowboys got trampled yesterday.
I know. I was wanting to rip him for it. Damn it.
No, well, yeah, no, I know. He's he's fine, but he has a lot of things going on today.
How about them Cowboys?
Yep. Because he already said that he's not going to be available for the After Dark show. So he's got a busy day ahead of him. But yeah, he's kind of in hiding. He could have snuck in for a minute or so. But listen, Scott, we're going to let you go. Enjoy the rest of your day off. We really enjoy you coming to hang out with us. I hope you had a good time.
I had a blast. I had a blast with you guys. I always do have a blast with you guys. I feel very thankful that I've come to know you, gentlemen, the last few years. I'm very thankful we can keep talking Yankees. It's a wonderful time. The pleasure's all mine, really.
Yeah, man. And NFE, we'll talk in the we'll text each other. We'll figure it out for tonight. But all right. Well, that was our friend Scott. You can follow him on Twitter at Before the Pitch. We'll put his information in the description after the show, but we always do enjoy hanging out with him. But that is going to wrap things up for us today. I want to thank all the newcomers into the chat. And the one thing that we didn't get to was there was the international signings. If you can go check out Jason on 161 River Ave. He's putting videos together, breaking down all the international free agents. And we'll learn more about them, and we'll discuss them in the next couple of days.
Yeah, Jason's doing an incredible job in 161. I watch his little shorts on YouTube. Does a fantastic job. So if you guys haven't done so already, sub up to Jason on 161. He provides really good content. Yep.
Yeah. So it's going to wrap things up for us. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that sub button. If you are new to the channel, we always appreciate growing the family. And as I always say, share this out with your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. This has been another phenomenal episode on the Pitch Strike Chronicles.
You deserve it.
Yep. Yeah, you kind of brought that on yourself, Mr. Barrows. But sorry. But I want to thank everybody again. If you haven't, like I said, hit the like button, sub button, share this out. Wear your pinstripes with pride, and play hard.